Okay, yeah, actually, we are incidental entrepreneurs. We didn't know anything about entrepreneurship. I was working in Bangalore, working at Texas Instruments, and my parents were in Hyderabad. Used to take buses frequently to go back home. And for the 1.5 years that I stayed here, I always got a seat. I used to go to a travel agent, and he used to get me a seat. But in Diwali of 2005, when I went to book a ticket, he made a few phone calls to the bus operators and told me that there are no seats. And just when I was leaving his office, he told me that maybe another agent could get me a seat. And that really intrigued me. I was thinking, if this guy is an agent for bus tickets, he should know whether or not there's any seat which is going vacant from Bangalore to Hyderabad that evening. How is that he's asking me to go to another travel agent? But anyway, I went to this other travel agent. He also made a few phone calls and again couldn't get me a seat. Then I got a little curious, so I went to the third travel agent. He also did the same thing. So the fourth, fifth, sixth travel agent. After going to so many travel agents, I ended up being in Bangalore without getting a seat. But the next day when I woke up, I was feeling guilty. Because maybe if I had gone to a 10th travel agent and maybe the 10th travel agent called the 30th bus operator, and maybe the 30th operator had a seat which went vacant from Bangalore to Hyderabad that evening, it was lost to that bus operator because there was a customer in some corner of the city, but he just didn't know about that customer. And it was lost to the 4 or 5 travel agents that I went to because they had a customer in front of them selling him a ticket. They could have made some money, but just didn't know which of these 30 operators to call. And it was a big loss to a consumer like me because I desperately wanted to be home for the festive season, but just couldn't be there. So I realized that all the three of us are losing because information of bus is not seamlessly available. And being an engineer, the solution was very obvious to me. I thought, why can't there be a computer system where all the bus operators put their inventory and all travel agents just look up at that inventory, first come first serve, and say whether or not there's any seat which is going vacant from Bangalore to Hyderabad that evening. So that's how the solution started. So when the solution came to us, the next thing was, how do we implement it? And we were not aware of entrepreneurship, and this whole world actually didn't exist of VCs and entrepreneurship during our time, or maybe we were ignorant. It certainly didn't exist to the magnanimity that it exists today. But during those days, open source was big. Almost everything was getting open source, your operating system, almost everything. So we said we will create this solution as an open source solution and give it to the bus operators for free. And once they start using this solution, we would benefit as a community, as a citizen. Right. So that's how we started off on this journey. Yeah, so basically, when we created the solution, we didn't think we didn't think really deep because it was not business, right? We knew there were 30 operators in this city, and there are like 10 cities like this, which means at least 300 operators. Sorry, and we were anyway not looking at whether it's sustainable and etc., because it's an open source, so it will be sustainable, right? Because there's no expense to it. But one thing led to another, and then we went and pitched at TI, the Indus Entrepreneurs, and where we got mentors. So those mentors, the conversations with those mentors actually made us realize that this can be a business. And then they told us there are people like VCs who can invest in your business, and then you can take that money, build a big enterprise, and etc. and all that. So I think during those conversations, it's changed from a non-profit to a for-profit kind of an organization. And during those conversations, the mentors were meeting us every week and then giving us guidance on what are the next steps. So one of the steps they told us is, go and figure out how big the market is. And we didn't know how to figure out how big the market is and etc. and all that, and we googled like everybody would do, but there were no answers, right? I mean, nobody has done this. Is completely unorganized. Nobody knows how many buses are there. Nobody knows who is running. Even the government would not know, because some bus operators are known to be operating 2 buses on the same number plate. So the actual number of buses were more than the number of registered buses and etc. So there's no way you could know that. But then we went in the raw way. We went from one travel agent to another travel agent, asking him what is his estimate of number of buses, let's say from Bangalore to Chennai, or Bangalore to Bombay. And then we go to the next guy, ask him the same question, and try to get some kind of a triangulation. Right? We created one big Excel sheet of all the buses and etc., all anecdotal data. And that gave us confidence that it's a large market. How large? Actually, I don't think even today we know how large, because after 8-9 years, at least but last year when we sold the business, we thought we almost have every bus operator in the market with us. But to my surprise, every month we were signing up 30 new operators. Which is, I think this industry, and likewise, I think many other industries are very deep, right? I mean, even after 8 years, we didn't finish signing up the operators. Yeah. So we created this software for bus operators. Actually, if you look at the problem that we had to get the bus operators and the travel agents onto the platform for the platform to work seamlessly. But to start with, we couldn't get the travel agents online, because when they come online, they don't see any inventory. It's not useful to them. So we had to get the bus operators online first. So we created the software for bus operators and went and started giving them the software for free, because it was an open source thing. But the bus operators were not very convinced to take the software, because we were like very young 25-year-olds with no experience. And whereas on the other hand, bus operators have been using their traditional method to manage their business for generations, their grandfather, father, and now them, and etc., right? So there was a huge resistance to change. And if the bus operators didn't take the software, there's no way that we could get the travel agents online, which means it was the end of the idea. And we were just stuck there, and we didn't know what to do. And that's when a friend of mine, actually, I never came in touch with him after that. I don't know, it's kind of I think an angel sent to us. I don't know how I am actually also related to him. But I know this friend at Motorola, which is an adjacent building to Texas Instruments. He met me for lunch, and then he said, "Oh, so you have this problem, so why don't you go to the TIE, the Indus Entrepreneurs?" Then I went and Googled what is TIE and where and etc. and all that. Realized there's a chapter in Bangalore, so I went and applied for membership there. Just after like 2-3 months after I enrolled as a member, they launched a program called EAP, Entrepreneurship Acceleration Program, where they invited anybody who is pursuing a idea, whether it's for profit, not for profit, anything, and if they have if they have a need for a mentor, they can come and present there. So we went and presented there in the first batch, and we got selected as one of the companies to be mentored. And that's how we got 3 mentors from TIE, and they've been phenomenally useful to us. Actually, converting this non-profit to for-profit, not just that, but in every stage, right? I mean, how to raise capital. They're like decisions that are there every day, right? How do you recruit people, right? I mean, how do you just meet a person for half an hour and decide whether he's the right person for you or not? I've never interviewed in my 1-2 years of experience. This is the first time I'm interviewing, and the stakes are very high, because you are maybe interviewing people more experienced than you. You're getting him as a senior management for this and etc. So you need every kind of coaching, right? How to manage PR, how to do marketing, how to manage the team, what values, principles will you build your company on, how do you deal with competition, which of the accelerators will you press at what time. So many decisions, and our mentors have been very helpful in navigating through this. Yeah, actually, my family was fine, more or less, because most of the decisions that I took for myself turned out to be good. I went to I was good at academics. I was a state ranker in 12th. Then I went to Bich Pilani, which is one of the good institutions. Then I got a campus placement. So everything was going fine. So some of the decisions that I took for myself turned out to be good. So that, I think, built the confidence in our family about my decisions. So that way, when I said I want to start this, they were fine. Yeah, so one of the things that I learned is organizations have to be built around people. What I mean by that is, like initially we'd put an org structure saying, okay, we need a head of sales and marketing, we need a technology and product, we need a CFO, we need blah, 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 the typical organization. But when you go and meet people to get people rolled for those boxes, right, you realize that, okay, you find somebody very good, but he's probably cannot manage both sales and marketing, right? So depending on the skills that you identify, depending on the people that you identify, I think one needs to change the organization. That's what we did. Actually, you go to find out a sales and marketing guy, and then you find a great sales guy, you get him in, and then find another separate marketing guy. You're looking for a marketing guy, you come across a product person, get him in, right? So I think my experience has been that when you meet people, if you find somebody great, get him in and create a role for him. And org structures can always be, they'll always be evolving, and they'll always be incomplete. And then one other big so after a particular size, one other big thing that we are wondering about org structure, one big decision that we had to take is what kind of a structure, right? Is it should it be a metric structure, or should it be a function led, right? That is actually one time I remember where I went and read Harvard case studies and whatever I could get access to decide whether we should be a metric structure, should we be a functional driven structure, a corporate structure, and etc. and all that. And actually we ended up deciding that it will be a metric structure. And of course there were a lot of pros and cons. Cons were like in a small organization, if you set in a metric structure, almost every person is reporting to two people. It could also create a lot of confusion. But the pro in our case, the way it worked out so beautifully is we set up the northeast west zone, say the directors, I mean people who handle the business in the north India, south India, very independently, and they'll be supported by a functional expert at the corporate. That worked out really well. There was a lot of freedom for the marketing for the directors in the different regions, so that they could drive the needs of our customers there. There was a voice of a customer in Gujarat in the corporate team at Bangalore. If it not for the director, if it were anybody junior, I think that voice would have been ignored. And that way, I think we have grown more or less democratically or secularly in all the geographies. One thing that I was thinking, I still wonder, is many times I come across so many companies, right? They're very strong in their region they are present in, where their head office is present in. As we go physically, right, a distance from the head office, the power of the brand or the consumers decrease. For example, being in Bangalore, for me, e-commerce has always been Flipkart, right? I mean, the other day I visited my cousin in Delhi, and she was more like Snapdeal, right? I mean, I was shocked. That again proves to me that, right? I mean, companies are strong in the region that they are in. And thankfully for us, I think the metric structure really helped in that. Actually, in our case, it was very simple. I mean, all our funding round decisions were very simple. So the first round was, we were not even prepared. We didn't even know what is a VC and what are the terms and how to raise and etc. Because that whole thing didn't exist in the ecosystem. And when we were selected by TIE had written about us in their newsletters, and immediately once the newsletter was out, we got interest from three investors. One was a very large investor, one was a kind of a investor which is an investing arm of an internet company. Then the third one was a very small investor. Then we took all these three to our TIE mentors, and the mentors said, at this stage we should take investment from the small investor, because he'd give little money and a lot of time for us, and which was required then. So that way the other two investors were eliminated out of the three choices that we had, and we ended up raising from the early stage fund. Yeah, so I don't know if I can generalize. I mean, our experience has been very good. We learnt a lot. The investor could give a lot of time to us. We were also very prudent about spending money and etc., which helped us. Actually, otherwise our business maybe would not have been viable, because our transaction sizes are very small, and then if you spend like other companies, then you cannot be sustainable. So I think that way some of these things helped us in our business. I don't know if I can generalize it for other businesses. Yeah, so initially when we started off because of a personal pain point that I couldn't get a seat, and I thought this solution could solve that problem. Then after that, it has always been like, okay, if you build something useful, people will come to you. So actually, we hadn't spent any significant money in marketing all through our life. That is because we always thought we should build a product which is very useful to consumer, and that should make consumers come to us. So we looked at what are all the gaps in the market and started filling them. Like the gaps are like, for example, in buses. Particularly in buses, people want to travel in front seats because the rear seats are bumpy, or people have preference, they want a window seat or an aisle seat, and etc. And everybody would go to a bus operator and ask for front seats, and bus operator was finding it difficult to sell the rear seats. So the way around for the bus operator is he started numbering the bus from behind, right? So you would get a seat number one, but when you enter the bus, you realize that it's the last seat, it's not the first seat. So things like this, they were very opaque and kind of a misleading. So we said, let us start showing the seat layouts, right? But there was no precedence of it. No airline company was showing. I mean, I'm talking about 2005. No airline company was showing seat layouts. No, there was no bus company, anyways. But no railway company. Railways still doesn't show. We said, but this is the problem that we want to solve, and technologically it's a complex thing. For hundreds of thousands of buses, how do you have the seat layout and how do you get this live information for each one of them? But we said we have to solve it, and then we attempted solving it, and I think it became a big success. And many other challenges then, like a woman passenger would not want to travel sitting beside a man. So then in our website, we started showing which are the seats which are booked by women, so that another woman could just book there. Other big challenge was people could not book return tickets. So people had to travel to the destination, get down there and buy a return ticket. Now on internet they can book return tickets. So because of these compelling value propositions, I think many people just came on board. And then all through our journey, we continue to understand our consumer more, we continue to read our feedback and come up with insights. And also technology makes it much easier to test out those features. So I mean, a big thing called A/B test, right? You introduce it, you see if people like it. If they don't like it, then you take it off. So we actually built all our features around experimentation, trying out, giving it to customers, because the cost of experimentation was low. So it's all in a very, very raw way. Just go meet the customer. Just pick up the phone, talk to customer, right? So we did it only that way. So most of, I think our feature set, or most of the business in general, was built on anecdotal evidence, right? You just go meet the customer, then you get it. Rather than saying, okay, 20% of your customers said this, 21% said this, and hence let's implement 21%. I mean, in general, actually, when people are giving feedback, right, anecdotal things are much more important than statistical data. Unless the statistical data is like a 80-20, then you can believe in the 80. But if they're marginally different, slightly different, then it doesn't, I think it is very dangerous to follow that. Yeah, so actually, I probably have a very simple answer to it, which is again going back to A/B tests, right? So there are many, many, many things that consumer needs, and today, what your consumer needs will change tomorrow, right? The only way to keep pace with it is to actually do A/B tests. Any random thing that comes to you, or any of the engineers, or any of the product guys think that this might be useful, right? Just build it and then release it to the production, right? To do a A/B test, then consumers are the guys who will tell you whether they like it or not like it. In the past, I used to be very particular about, let's say, the branding element or what we stand for and etc. Because there was a history, like 1-2 years we had run it ourselves. Then you started getting team members. Now you have to give it to the team members to do it. But every time team member did something, it had to go through me. Because I said we have to retain consistency. But towards the end, I realized that actually it is of no sense, because even I have lost touch with consumer, and consumers are actually telling you there is a way to test it scientifically whether consumers like it, don't like it, by doing A/B tests. Then who am I to stand here and say this is what my consumers like? Or who is the product guy or the tech guy saying that, who is he to say that this is what the consumers like it, when there's a very nice, neat way to know what consumers like it? So since then, actually, we've given all our personal opinions aside, we would just build whatever we think could fly, and then put it on production, do a A/B test, and the consumers would tell you whether it works, doesn't work. And it would work for very random reason, or it could work for very different reason that you have not even thought of, right? But at the end of the day, you have a result, right, from the consumer.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, sure. So in our case, I'll tell you what we did and why we did, and I cannot say it is the right way or what is the right way. But in our case, the way we thought is, initially we created a ESOP pool, and uh, so before creating ESOP pool, I looked at the companies that I had access to, the large companies, the Infosys, Wipros, and etc., and even other companies and all. So all of them, one thing that I realized and noticed is, all of them start off with giving ESOPs to almost everybody, from the peon to the car driver to almost anybody and everybody. And after a while, they realized that, okay, but ESOP pool is limited, and it just cannot be sustainable this way by giving it to, right? And also the appreciation of ESOPs by the people, by others, is very low, because I mean, what is ESOP? ESOP is, when you give somebody, you expect him to build value in the company so that he has the incentive to do it. But not everybody in the organization has the same impact on the course of the company, right? For example, a developer with 2 years experience cannot change the course of the company, right? If the company says, I want to spend this much in marketing and I want to go this way, he cannot influence. And he will, the wealth that he can create when the ESOP is distributed to many people is also very little. So it serves no purpose. It doesn't serve the purpose of the company, it doesn't serve the purpose of the person. It is only a good feeling that, okay, I have ESOPs, right? Rather, we said, okay, rather we give him salary and give ESOPs to the guys who can actually change the course of the company, and that way concentrated ESOPs, so that it can also create wealth for people. So that way we actually limited our ESOP to only the senior management to a larger extent. And another thing, when you limit it to the senior management, another question that we faced is how much to give to senior management. Let's say you have 10% carved out as ESOP. Now, if you have 5 senior management, do you want to give 2% to everybody? The simple answer is give 2% to everybody. But the complexity comes when you don't know, right, how long this company will need. I mean, will have a need to keep giving ESOPs, right? Because ESOPs vest over 4 years. So now you have 5 senior management, you've given 10% to all the 5 guys. In 4 years, all this is vested. Now company has a need to retain talent or get more talent because it is growing, right? So now you are left with no ESOP, right? So that's another question that we had. So the way we did it is, okay, look at the person and look at his current compensation, look at his opportunity, and what is the cash component that you're giving, and what is the ESOP that will make much more than, I mean, when things turn out, much more than what his current opportunity is, and present it to him. And actually we created an Excel sheet of different case scenarios. At this exit you'll get this much money, at this exit you'll get this much money, and if the exit doesn't happen, you get no money. Are you willing to take this risk? And the senior management had good clarity on what is happening, and then he would take and join it. Yeah, so that's how we approached ESOP. I think the advantage is certainly, I mean, people will feel connected. People, I mean, at the end of the day, the monetary upside is also good, right? I mean, that way, I think it will impact. It will impact positively. So the disadvantages of ESOP are more administrative. Like for example, in our case, when we sold the company, many of the ESOP holders were not in Bangalore, so we had to call them. They're in a different phase of their life. So for them to come and search for the share certificates and all that was, I mean, we went through a little bit of chaos because some of us even lost the share certificates and etc. And now I think with the changed corporate law, I think the administrative hassles are even more in terms of the price, strike price, whatever, and etc. But in general, I think the advantages more outshine the disadvantages. So still, I think companies have to go for ESOPs. But there also, I learned about some interesting instruments like SARS, restrictive stock units and etc. and all that, I think one has to evaluate all these before taking a decision as to they want to do this or SARS or restrictive stock units and etc. Okay, I won't say failure, but there are a lot of learnings in the course. So certainly, if I do the company again, I would do it with all those learnings. So many learnings all through our journey. Like one of the learnings was I mean, I've heard of this complementary skills, that the team should have complementary skills and etc. So I wanted to, I mean, all through the journey of RedBus, I always wanted to do what is the best for the company, and even if it means change myself and etc. I said I will change myself, because what is best for the company is what I should do. So one of the things I heard was complementary skills. Then I said, okay, let me get complementary skills. I mean, otherwise you only have people like you in the company and etc. and all that. So I even tried that. I also hired people who are a little different, who thinking is a little different and etc. But I think it created chaos. And then after that again, I went back and read what is complementary skills and etc. And my learning, or even out of introspection and etc., my conclusion today is that complementary skills is good, but it is skills which have to be complementary, not the culture, not the attitude, not the passion and etc. For example, if I am conservative, if I am approaching the business as frugal, I can't have somebody who is like flamboyant, because the values and the beliefs are different. Whereas certainly, if I am not a data oriented guy, we should have somebody who is a data oriented guy. Skills, if I cannot do marketing, we need somebody who is marketing. I cannot read a balance sheet, we need a great guy who needs a balance sheet. I cannot make sales. So the skills have to be complementary, but I think at the culture we have to be very similar and same. So some of these learnings. Yeah. Yeah, so first of all, I'm happy with the way it is changing and etc. Some of the things that I really hope will happen is some of the Indian companies grow really big, very big, right? I mean, that's when I think Indian innovation will start happening. I mean, if you look at the valley, yes, a lot of innovation is happening from the universities and etc. and all that, but significant innovation is also happening by companies like the drones of Amazon, driverless cars of Google, or the balloons of Google and etc. Right? So all these innovations have happened because the companies have now discretionary money, so they can put that money in a really futuristic idea and innovation, and that's when even the nation becomes successful, because it has access to all these innovative thinkers and etc. So that, unfortunately, in India, okay, we don't have such great universities, research oriented and etc. So the only hope for such really high tech things to happen is, my personal belief is that our companies growing large, not the traditional companies, but the new age companies, right? The Flipkarts and the Ola cabs and etc. They grow so large and they have so much discretionary money that then they will say, okay, I'll have a driverless car, or I'll have some futuristic thing, right? And I'm sure when given resources, the Indian or anybody, right, human being can build those innovative thinking. I mean, I learned that actually some of these innovations are built by Indians in the valley, so the same thing can also happen in India. So that is something that I am hoping and eagerly waiting for it to happen in the ecosystem. Yeah, so actually, I'm on a break now. I wanted to be on a long break, about 5 years. So 1 year is done. So in the last 1 year, I did a few angel investments. I mean, the only concrete activity that I did is a few angel investments. Other than that, I didn't do much. But just recently, I was just thinking, introspecting on similar lines, right? How is it different from then, right? Actually, I realized that actually there's no difference. When I was a CEO, I was not this very operational, everyday metric and data and etc. and all that. I was not that. Actually, I was very free, because we had a CTO, we had a head of tech product, we had marketing head, we had almost all the gaps filled in. and they were running the company. And also one thing I learned is that when you're running a company, you cannot micromanage. So actually I left it to the team, and I actually was more or less jobless there, right? But I thought it is actually what I'm doing now and what I did then were so very similar. What I was doing then was I had money which was given by VCs or even internally accrued. There is a certain money in the company. Now I'm actually deciding, okay, where should this money go? Where will it have the biggest impact for the company when this money is diverted? Should it go into marketing? Should it go into technology? Should it go into this guy or that guy? And now when I'm doing angel investments, I realize it's actually the same, right? Again, I have this money. I'm just saying, okay, should we give it to this entrepreneur or this entrepreneur? Who's the entrepreneur who will make the biggest impact, right? So that way, I think it's very, very similar from the role that I did then to the role that I do now. Otherwise, in terms of learning, yes, I mean, there also every day I used to I had to catch up with what is the latest marketing thing, what is the latest in technology and etc. Here also talking to so many entrepreneurs, I keep learning. So that way the learning rigor is there, but I think in terms of activity is kind of similar. Yeah, so I think I'm a young investor. So I have no history if things have worked. So I'm still figuring out a solution for that. I'm still figuring out a framework as to what should I look for. So until now, the investments that I've made are in all fields, in all types of entrepreneurs who have culturally appealed to me. That's the only bar that I used. But otherwise, people are doing B2B, people are doing analytics, people are building consumer businesses, people from different backgrounds, etc. and all that. So I think over time, hopefully I'll come up with some particular learning and my own hypothesis of what kind of an entrepreneurs or enterprises that I want to invest in. So in general, I think online education is great. I myself am taking online courses. I'm taking the sociology course from a professor at NYU, right? And I'm so actually thrilled and happy because these courses are available for free and from such great teachers, right? I mean, when I go through it, I could just understand so much better. So that way I think online education is great, and especially for a country like ours, where maybe we don't have access to such great quality teachers. I think it's great for our country, and I think it's great for the globe, because now you need only one great teacher who can probably teach and influence the whole world. Okay, so okay, I want to share some experience and realization that I went through, which may be right or wrong, I don't know, but I just wanted to share my experience, and I think this can help the budding entrepreneurs a great bit, right? When I was building my company, I thought I realized that actually we are building a company in a knowledge economy, right? The only weapon, the only strength that we have as a company is the way we think, the innovation, the passion that each one of us get. Not anyone, but everyone, right? How passionate is everyone to come and innovate and figure out solutions and etc. And I thought for that to happen, right, they need to feel free. They need to feel really very happy in doing what, which means I had to be this great leader, right? I mean, who provides this great thing for everybody in the team. So I was on this journey as to figure out how to make that happen. But every time, like in my course of management, right, when I was managing, some people were not happy with the decisions that I would take. Some people, so that used to hurt me. Then I said, okay, let me go and figure out how these great leaders do it. So I went and read about many of the popular Indian leaders of different companies, and I said, how do they do it? I started meeting people there at every opportunity that I got. But then I realized, I mean, everything is great, but if you go a little deep, right, then there also people are unhappy. There also people say, oh, but you know what, this guy micromanages me. No, but he's like a dictator type. No, this, that, and etc. And I said, okay, maybe okay, let me go to the global leaders, right? Then I went and read about Steve Jobs and Ellison and etc., etc., and all that, Jeff Bezos, right? There again, right? Everything great. They built some greatest enterprises of our lifetime now. But again, there people are, oh, no, what this guy has, every pixel he looks at, I hate it. I'm not my best in this company. And again, I was disappointed. Right? Then I said, let me look at the greatest of the leaders, right? Then, I mean, close to our home, it is Mahatma Gandhi, and then you Google and you'll find Abraham Lincoln and etc. and all that. Again, they've made big changes, big followers. Everybody may have liked them. They moved the whole nation, right? But again, towards the end, I was very sad to learn that they were killed by their own people, right? I mean, they were murdered. I mean, they had to hate them so much that they even killed them, right? So then, I mean, after all this, my realization is actually at least I didn't come across any leader who actually everybody will like and everybody will follow. So that one thought gave me a lot of courage to continue what I was doing and to create my leadership style, right? Which will be ever changing, but which will be up to that day's knowledge, right? This is how I will lead, right? And I know that some people may not like it, some people may like it, but going through this whole exercise gave me a lot of courage to continue. And I'm sure many entrepreneurs are also wondering on the same thing, sometimes getting disappointed with certain things that are happening. And I think this will help them a great bit in walking their path courageously. Thank you.